going to read the project through. Is there anyone would like to read the project? Anyone would like to read the project? Anyone has the project in front of him? I'm happy to start the reading the project until you pick the project then you can take a lead. I'm going to share my screen now, and then we'll look into the.
Do you want me to read it?
Oh, yes, please. Yes, please. You need to share your screen and you need to show us what you are reading.
Okay, let me see. It is a bit tricky.
I couldn't join the afternoon session yesterday, so I don't really know what the project is about now.
Okay, so we are going to read the project. We are going to read the project. You do have a team. I think your teams has already been discussed.
Assigned, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know my group, but I don't know what the project is about.
No worries.
Can you able to see it?
Yeah, we can. Yeah. We can see your screen. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
Yeah. AW Computing wants to retire their existing expense report system, and they have tasked you with designed a simple expense reporting app. Requirements. An expense report consists of multiple line items. Sam, you want to go one by one, or do you want?
Yeah, we'll go the first 1, 2, 3.
Till 3.
1 to 3, and then we can talk about it, and then we'll.
Okay,
after
sure.
that, we could move like after this, because the 1 to 3 contains a part of the project, the main part of the project. Yeah.
Okay. For each expense report, the following needs to be tracked: A, data submitted; B, purpose of the trip; C, the status of the report: new, complete, submitted, approved, not approved; D, the department of the expense report owner. 3. Users should only be able to choose an expense report status of new or complete.
Okay, beautiful. So the idea we have in here is we have an expense report. We need to create an business expenses application, basically, you can say that. So where someone can go in and report expenses that they have already spent, and they want to ask for the money to be paid back to them. So for each one of these expenses, we need to track these: the date, the purpose of that trip, the status of the report, the department that the expense the report owner of the expenses is from, and also the users. We have some conditions is that the users can only choose an expense report status as a new and complete. Now, if we look at this, what's the main thing we understand here? I mean, if we want to put all of these in just highlight points, like anyone would like to share some ideas? Yeah, Truth is here.
Yeah, we need to create an object as a first.
Let's keep Salesforce on the side. Now, first, let's keep Salesforce on the side. Okay, let's think of this. Okay, so I go on a trip, and I spend money on travel, I spend money on accommodation, I spend money on food, I spend money on transportation, I spend money on different things. And I will come with all of these invoices, right, or receipts. So all of these receipts, I have them, okay? And then maybe some of these hasn't been paid, to be paid by the company itself. Some I would have paid myself. And then after that, I want to take all of these, put them in the system, and go to my manager, send it to my manager, and tell him, please approve these. And I want my money back. Okay. Now, this is the normal business expenses process. Okay. Now, there might be like other things like conditions around it, like what's the maximum number I can, what's the maximum amount I can claim. Different claims has different thresholds or levels. There could be different things. Okay. But we are going to abide with the requirements that's in this project in here. Okay. Now, from here, we say that we do have a date submission, which is the submission. That's normal. And we do have yeah, please increase that. We do have different statuses of this. Like we have a new, complete, submitted, approved, not approved. So it means that we do have an approval process coming on in the project. Okay. And then the department needs to be mentioned. Now, the department always in Salesforce will be able to know every user, which department he belongs to. Okay. And so let's draw a little bit here on the screen and see if we were just to do this, what we need on Salesforce. I'll take the screen from you.
Yeah, sure. I'll just stop sharing.
Yeah, please. Okay. All right. Jyoti had left. If anyone can text her just to find out if she's coming back.
Come again.
Bana said Bana's messaged that she'll join in 15 minutes.
Okay, Jyoti, I'm saying she joined and she left. So if she wants to,
Maybe I'll just
if anybody can text her, just find out if she's coming back. Okay. All righty. So what I am going to do, okay. Let's see. All right. Okay. So I will start here. What the first thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to put a okay. So this is going to represent our generic expense request. Okay. So this is our expense request. That's a request. Okay, so we do have an expense request in here. Now this expense request, can you all see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay, okay. So this expense request, what's the main thing that we would find on this expense request? What are the identifiers, the fields that's on this expense request should be?
It's transport, accommodation, and food.
Those are
So the main request, that what like what
date of
this thing is
submission.
going to be connected to, like who is making the request,
Okay, okay.
The report owner.
right?
Report owner.
Yeah, which is who's making the request.
Yeah. ID, name.
Yeah,
The type.
that will represent it as who's making the request, just in like terms to understand.
AW computing.
Sorry.
AW computing.
Yeah. No. The one who's making the request, the person who's making the request.
Yeah.
The
The
first one.
name, owner ID. Maybe we can associate it with the ID.
I know. Just
ID.
now leave Salesforce. I mean, don't get too much into Salesforce. You can
Okay.
get a little bit into it, but let's think of it as like layman terms, just the normal language we use. So we need to know who's making the request, right?
Yeah.
Okay. We need to know the line item.
Purpose of the trip.
Yeah, purpose of the trip. Okay. Purpose of the trip.
Department of the report owner.
Okay. Department.
Yes, status of the report.
Yeah.
And the expenses list.
Yeah, which is, I put them there, expenses list. Yeah, let me write them. Expenses list. Status. What other than the status? What did you say? Are you admitting people who's joining?
Yeah, I'm doing it.
Okay, cool. So we have who's making the request, the expenses list, purpose of the trip, the department, the status. What else? The date.
The date
Date
submitted.
submitted.
Yeah, the date.
Yeah. When it was made. A date. Yeah. What else?
Mm.
Okay.
Like,
Because
like, are
this
you saying is it a form or it's just a general the fields that needs to be in the
Yeah. What's the information? Let's think of it as information rather than thinking of it as field.
total expenses amount, like in
total expenses in that report. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Mm.
Let's say total amount of expenses.
And
Yeah.
maybe amount for each expense item, like transportation, accommodation, food.
Okay. It doesn't mean that if we put it here, we're gonna keep it here. Okay. Doesn't
Sorry,
mean
Sam, can you come again?
Yeah. If you have like an idea what to put on this, we'll write it, and it doesn't mean it's gonna stay here. It might go somewhere
okay.
else, but
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
gonna put it here.
Yeah, sure.
Amount for each, let's say, group. You mean, huh? Because we have the expenses list.
Yeah.
This is the list. So we have, you mean, group like how much for travel, how much for accommodation.
Sam, does it include the way of transport and all?
Well, that's will go into the details of the
Okay.
the item expenses.
Okay, got it.
Okay. So we have an expense request, which includes who's making the request. Think of it as like, what's that application for expenses? It will have who's making the request, the expenses list, like the items, the purpose of that trip, where the trip includes all these expenses, the department, the status, when it was made, the total amount of expenses, and the amount for each trip, not a grip. Yeah. Trip. Okay. Now, what information we have? We have information about the status, right? We have different statuses. Can someone read the statuses here?
Yeah, I will read it.
Yeah.
New,
New,
complete,
complete,
submitted,
complete, submitted,
approved,
approved,
not approved.
not approved.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have all of these are the status, right? So we're going to draw a line from here to here. So this is the line that's from the status. We'll say these are the status. We'll put here, put on top of it. Statuses or status. Okay, we'll make it a little bit big. Okay. All right. So we have the status. What else we have? Do we have other information? Let's go back into the document. So an expense report consists of multiple line items. So we have the line items here, the expenses list, or line. That's the line items. It's better keep it. So we have line items. And for each expense report, which is this one, we have the date submitted. We have it in there. Purpose of the trip, we have it. The status, we have them. The department of the expense, we have it. Okay. So we have the department, and we've added also the totals and this. Let's continue reading here. So we have 3 types of expenses must be captured. Okay. We have transportation, accommodation, and food. Okay. And can someone start talking about these so we can start typing them on the screen?
Yeah, I can do.
Yeah, please go ahead.
I'm Selva here. There are 3 types of transport expenses.
Yeah. The first one.
Yeah. Number 1 is transport
Transport. Okay.
or accommodation.
Is there any information about transport? Like, yeah.
Okay. It's a airline or taxi or rental car.
Okay.
Under transport.
So it says airline, taxi, rental. This is the type of transportation. So we want to put the type of transportation, the amount, and the comments as items here. So let's say, okay, let's go here. Type of transportation, because the other information is further details. So let's put the main information we need here is the type of the transportation. What's the other one?
For transportation, it's airline.
No, the type of transportation. What's the other information? Amount, right? Amount under it, and then
For the
correct? Am I right? If you
Um,
look here, we have the type of transportation. I'm showing it on the
Yes.
screen. We have the type of transportation. These are details of the type of transportation. We'll leave it now. But we have
Yes,
the type
okay.
of transportation. We have
Okay,
the amount,
okay.
and we have
Yeah.
the comments.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So this
I
is
got
for the transportation. We'll put it
Yes.
here. Let me just put the transportation. Let me just group this. Group. Okay, so I can move it together. I'll group this
The
as
next
well.
is
Yeah, just let me group these just to. Okay, so we have the transportation. What's the next one?
accommodation.
Okay.
So under
Tell me
accommodation,
more about the accommodation. What's in it?
vendor, number of nights, night
Vendor.
rate,
Okay, a number
vendor,
of
number
nights.
of nights, rate, nightly rate. So it's unique for every day.
Nightly rate. Okay.
Yeah. And then
Okay.
amount.
Okay, nightly rate. So, sorry. Okay. Okay. A nightly rate. What's the other amount?
And comments.
Comments. Okay, cool. So this is accommodation, right? Okay.
Yes.
Accommodation. I don't know if I spelled it right, but yeah, this is accommodation. Okay, we'll group this so that it doesn't move. It moves all together. Okay. So what's the third one?
Food.
Oh, yeah. After the accommodation?
Yes.
Food. Yeah. Yeah.
Meal type. So which has subcategories of breakfast, lunch, dinner.
Meal type. Meal type.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Under that, it's a breakfast, lunch, or dinner.
Yeah, that's a detail. Let's talk about the main
Okay.
items. Yeah,
Okay. Then amount,
amount,
business guest,
business guest. There's a condition on this, or yeah,
and comments. I don't know. There is an option must be included for all meals over 50. I'm not sure where that will come
sorry,
under.
let's say must be included. Yeah, for all meals over 50. Okay. I'm not sure if this is one of the questions we need to ask. For example, is like, what's this? What's the business guest in here? Is it the business guest must be included for all meals over 50? So when you go on a trip, usually if you are in a business, you go on a trip, you don't eat by yourself. Sometimes you have like people from other companies coming and joining you. So like, or if you are going, let's say I'm selling whatever monitors, okay, and I go and I want to meet with this owner of the company, so he's a business guest. Usually when you have a business guest, the bill is going to be higher than if you are eating on your own. So what they are saying here is that up to 50, as if in up to 50 you can spend up to 50 on yourself, but if this one crossed the 50, then you need to mention a business guest if it's there. So you need to say who's the business guest that you spend more on breakfast or lunch or dinner. That's my understanding. I don't know if anyone of you has a different understanding to this. What do you think?
Yeah, I thought so, Sam.
Yeah, we need to ask about that because they written as different points.
Yeah,
Yeah, we need to ask.
yeah. So yeah, we ask on this and we see how. I mean, but basically it could be like this kind of thing, you know. Okay, so we're gonna also group this. Okay. So we have all of these now. Sorry, somebody said something. All right.
There are
So
comments. Yeah.
yeah, if we look into these are this one. Okay, let's say this one. Oh, just we cannot zoom this. All right. So these are the items that the line items could contain one or more of these, right? Each line item could contain one or more of these. Okay, so what we are going to do, we are going to draw a line from here to here, and another line from here to here, and a third line from here to here. So every line item might contain more than one of these, right?
Yes.
So we have the line items that contain one or more of food, one or more of transportation, and one or more of accommodation, because someone might go on a trip that is across cities or across different areas where he needs to have multiple accommodations in there. Okay, so let me connect this here. Probably I can connect in here.
Sam, do we need to have the status as a separate
No,
thing?
it doesn't mean that
It can be included in the.
yeah, it could be a pick list. This one will decide later on how we're gonna deal with it. But I'm saying like statuses, we have different, multiple statuses. So it doesn't mean that it's going to be a another like item in the sorry, another table or another object. No, it's just I'm just referring to this in order to understand the relationship between them. But it doesn't mean that it's a master relationship, because this is just a list of statuses. But these are going to be different objects.
Yes.
Probably. We might end up putting them all in one object, okay, and then show the fields in according with the, because what you can do is that you can say, I'm going to create a one object that has all of the item types in one object. And I'm going to call the item types to be, for example, for food, I will say F for food, F meal type, F amount, F business guest, F comments, and then T type, T amount, T comments. I'm just thinking out loud. And A vendor, and then all of these, put them in one object. Somebody might think of like that. Some database designers might think like that. They put them all in one object, and when they come to this screen, now if someone picked a type of item to add, then he shows him only those fields that relate to that expense. Okay. Now, this is not good for the real state of the database, okay, because you will have a lot of records, maybe the records as the number of line items, but each record is going to have part of it with data and the other part, the rest of it with no data. And this is not good. So that's why we will create like a transportation, food, accommodation, different objects. Okay, you might have someone who's smart enough to create a generic object and not even use the name of that object, but create an Apex code in order to translate the names of the text, maybe the fields and everything into that, and make a connection. And just like this is going to be a chaos, but no one would do that. So that's why we will do it as in like transportation is an object, accommodation is an object, and food is an object, status is going to be a pick list. So we'll do it this way. Well, we're just thinking about it now. We're thinking of how these are connected to each other. Clear?
Could you make them report types? Would that work on the same object?
You mean these to report on the food, report on this, report on this?
Yeah, report type transportation, report type
Yeah. You can have a report type. You can have a report type as in food, accommodation, and transportation as a report type. But then what you need to do is that you need to have the line items as an object by itself.
Sam,
We could end up doing.
Yep.
Sorry?
Okay.
if you don't mind, can I add a point here? Like,
Go ahead.
so we are going to make an app with the dashboard showing that basic details, except the types of types of expenses, and the type of expenses will be different fields that we can link from the dashboard from the first page.
Yeah, we are going through we haven't gone through that in the reading. We are still on the first page. So we are reading, analyzing, and then we'll move on, and then we'll readjust what we are thinking of based on what we are reading. But because this is like a kind of a brainstorming, we're just mentioning the idea. So now what Claire was saying is that could we do the line items? The expenses and types? Yes. You create an object, okay, and then you can have types for that object, okay, but also the object itself, you need to link it to master detail when you start. You need to link it. You need to look up for the type instead, because you need to understand is like if you say I'm going to create this as a type, as a record type. So say like my record type is food, my record type is transportation, and my record type is accommodation. Then what you need to do is that for each record type, you will have a set of fields that you are going to utilize. So I'm utilizing for the food, I'm utilizing meal type, amount, business guest, comments. Transportation, amount, comments. Maybe comments is common. Amount is common between all of these. So we'll have, when I am selecting the food type, I need to get the meal type and the business guest in addition to the amount and comment, which is common. So we'll keep the common, not talk about it. If I pick transportation, I need to pick the type of transportation. And if I pick accommodation, I'll pick the vendor number of nights, and nightly rate. So I will have the meal type is one field, business guest is another field, vendor, number of nights, nightly rates, 5 fields, and type of transportation, 6 fields. So I have 6 fields plus amount and comments. I have 8 fields. So in total, I will have an object with 8 fields. This object, if I'm thinking the type-wise, because every group is going to do it differently probably. So if I'm thinking this type-wise, so I will have an object with record type. The record type will be transportation, food, accommodation. And I will have 8 fields that I will create on this object. These 8 fields I will create on this object are going to be fields related to food, those related to transport, and some related to accommodation. When I go on the screen to input the data, I need to decide if the field is food, I will show only meal type and business guest, of course, amount and comments always. If I'm entering a type of transportation, I will choose type of transportation and of course the amount and comments. If I choose the accommodation, then I will type the vendor, number of nights and nightly rates, and of course the amount of comments. So I can go this way. Now, when I start wanting to, when I want to report on this, then I need to report grouping by the field type, the record type. So when I want to generate a report in order to show how much we are spending on transportation, how much we are spending on food, how much we are spending on accommodation, it means that I want to make I want to group the data that I have, okay, based on the record type. Now, when I go on the record type, that's where I want to group because I'm grouping, I'm making a report on one object. The record type is one level. Now, if I want to see for that meal type, how much I'm spending. So I want to go another group, which is called meal type. So I have one group, another group under that. Okay. And so forth. Now, if I have like, I want to report on a certain user, okay, that's also another level. So I'm adding an extra level on the reporting. Now, if I go on multiple objects, so object for transportation, and this is a decision everyone needs to take. A transportation, accommodation, and food, 3 different objects. And I go on a lookup on one of these types when I am creating a record. Then when I come to check how much I'm spending on food, all what I want to do, all what I need to do is just on the food item, on the food object, I need to do a not a formula, roll up. What's they call it, roll up value?
Summary, roll up summary.
Roll up summary. Yeah, I need to do roll up summary. I'll be able to do the food amount, the accommodation amount, the transport amount is going to be very easy for the system. Now, I could, however, in order to find out how much in total, I have to add the food plus transportation plus accommodation. On the other case, I don't need to do that because it's all in one table. So everyone will come with its pros and cons for how to report, how to add things. Now, do we want a record which has 8 columns, and every record of these, every record in this object will have only half of the records has data and the other half is not utilized? Or we want a record where all of the information in that record is utilized? Because if we have one record for all of the expenses, let's say tomorrow we wanted to add a new expense. Let's say we wanted to add an expense that's entertainment expense. And they told us, let's add entertainment expense. Now, we could go to the object that has the expenses, add to the object sorry, anyone talking to me? Okay. And add to that object of expenses another 2-3 records. Okay. And then go and readjust all of the tables and screens and make sure that these are being picked and the right screen is in there. Or I just create an object, and that object is the object that handles the entertainment expenses. Okay. And just add what's related to it. It's two different things, because if I add another entertainment, then I'll have more empty cells in these records, more empty fields in the records. So I will have a big object, which half of it has data in it. Okay. So it's up to you how you think of the design. But
So,
these are
Sam,
things
are you
you need
saying
to-
that if we do it by record types and they don't have any food, for instance, those fields are just going to be sitting there unused? Is that kind of what you mean?
I didn't get it. Sorry, Claire. Can you repeat that?
So if we did it by record type and the person doesn't have any food expenses, so you're saying all that data is just going to be sitting there in the object unused, all those fields?
Yeah, of course. I mean, no, even if he has transportation, it's going to be unused because you are using each record for one item.
Yeah. Yeah.
Each record, you are using it for only one item. So either you use it for food or entertainment or transportation or this or that. And the more you add, so the more you're just growing horizontally, okay, with less data used. So then food, at this moment, if you look at this moment, transportation will have only one field out of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have 6 fields. One field out of 6, it's all 8. Let's say with the amount of comments. 3 fields out of 8. Now, if you add entertainment with 3 extra fields, then transportation will use 3 fields out of 8 plus 3 out of 11. If you add another type, we'll be using only 3 fields out of 15 fields. So you will have your data is like that, you know. Now let's say you want to export this data in order to use it somewhere else. Then you need to export the data, and then you need to go and use Python, pandas, or anything in order to distribute this data across multiple files. One for food, one for transportation, one for accommodation, unless you're happy to use, like you could just grow as much as you want horizontally. So it's a decision you need to take as a developer. Which one is a better strategy for me? Which one is going to serve my reports? Which one is going to be more safe? Let's say you are not giving Sam is not allowed to use transport expenses. How you are going to deal with that?
Yeah, yeah.
So
if they're objects, they're going to show up as tabs, aren't they, across the top, and you can just choose whichever.
Yeah, dealing with an object on it could be much convenient and easier for you than dealing with the fields itself, or with the, because you need to put your security. You need to put it in the code itself, because you need to have
easier, I think,
more
with
groups.
objects.
And yeah, so it's a decision you make, but we're just thinking of it in multiple ways. You know, that's what we need to do. We need to think of it differently,
cool.
and then this would just let us a bit brainstorm
Can you
this.
say that
It's very important.
again, Sam? The security. I missed that part.
Yeah. Let's say you don't want to give Sam a chance to fill transportation expense reports. If the transportation, accommodation, and food are in one object, it would be the way you deal with this is totally different than you deal with it when transportation is one object. Because if transportation is an object by itself, if you don't give me access to that object, then I cannot see it, I cannot use it. But if
Yes.
all were in one record, the way you deal with it is going to be different.
Yes. That's then setting the data security will be difficult if it's everything on.
It's not going to be
That's
difficult. It's not going to be the way. I think it's not going to be the way Salesforce would appreciate it, and because you need to include that. You need to start adding probably more groups, more permission sets, more it's going to be
Field level security.
way complicated, but it's not as easy as it is when you use them on objects. Okay. So yeah, it might be complicated. I don't know. It might be complicated. I don't know. But it's easy to think of it when they are objects. Just not allow him. Fair enough? So you could end up like, let's say, having 3 different groups. One that allow people to add transportation, one allow people to add accommodation, one allow people to add food, and then whoever you want him to give him access to transportation, accommodation, and food, then you put them in that category. And whoever you want to, you just give them that access and so forth. So you could it's gonna be easy if you have them as objects.
I guess as well, it says to use record types when you have different workflow rules. Whereas we'll have the same workflow rule, won't we, for the whole thing?
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. All right. So let's continue the reading from here. Anyone would like to continue the reading? Okay. Each expense line item should only show fields relevant to the type. Okay. So that's normal because we're going to use objects. The following calculations needs to be performed: total transportation expenses, total accommodation expenses, and total food expenses. So if you look at this total, okay, that's going to be easy because when he start adding items like 1 item of transportation, 2 items of transportation, 2 items of food, or 7 items of food, 2 items of accommodation, that's going to be easy to have the roll-up summary on each of these ones. So we can have a roll-up summary for this, roll-up summary for that, roll-up summary for this. Okay, so that would be an easy way to calculate this for the user himself on this. Or we could have it like in different. We'll look into it like as we go. How we are. I mean, every group will look into it how they are going to implement it. But the access to the information in order to put this, whether it's in a formula or it's in a roll-up summary, it's based on what you are going to do. When you have usually master relationship, master child, master what they call it?
Master lookup.
No,
Master details. Master details.
Yeah, correct. Master details relationship. When you have master details relationship, you go for roll-up summary. You go for roll-up summary because the roll-up summary will keep the information in the master record. So the roll-up summary would keep the information in the master record. So when you go and do reporting, okay, the formula has already been calculated and put in the record. So when you go and do reporting, you will find the information directly on the report itself. Okay.
So, for example, if for the transportation, we are doing the transport roll-up summary in the details relationship, that will reflect on the master, right?
Yeah, the line items is a master,
Yes.
and these are the details coming from all of these.
Yes.
So you do the role summary on this.
Sam, can I
Yes.
say something?
Of course.
I think I heard it wrong, Selva. Master detail in master detail, roll up summary should be in the master, Selva. Did you say the other way?
No, I said it
Oh,
that.
okay.
The
Yeah,
roll-up
she
summary
said
is
the
done.
other way, Sam. So that's why.
Sorry?
Okay, okay, I got it. Yeah, always will add the relationship from the child. So from that way, I just okay, I got it.
Yeah. When you have a master details relationship, and the details have numbers, okay.
Yes.
When you do the calculations, and when you
Yes.
raise the calculations to the master will keep a record of this calculation. So, and when you do reporting on the master, because you do reporting on the master, then this reporting will not be doing any extra work. You don't need to do an extra work to get the reporting because the information is already there. So these line items is $500. Okay. Now what you can do in the line items in the master, you could say like, I do have a transportation total, do have accommodation total, do have food total, and the transportation total gets it from the transportation as well as the accommodation and the food. So you have these totals. And you put a formula again to add all of these to get the total for the line items. So you have a formula for the line items, but the line items grouped by its type is a roll-up summary of the details. Is that clear?
Yep.
Cool. Okay. So, all right. So we understood this part. Now, once an expense report is complete, it should be automatically submitted for approval by the records owner's manager. So we have the records owner, we have a records owner, and we have a manager. So we need to set up a manager for our account in order to get this manager to go and approve. Once an expense report is approved, the expense report should be reassigned to the expense processing team. So it's approved. So we have, it seems like we have two stages of approval, or an approval and then a change of the, or routing the record to somebody else, like handling it to somebody else. Once the report is approved, of course, we need to change the status into approved. Okay, and we need to go into another stage to assign it to the expense processing team. And we have some names here we need to add to the org. No one is allowed to delete an expense report except the expense team. So only deletion is allowed. It means that we need to allow the expense team to be able to delete an expense report. Now, when you give someone a delete access to a record, make sure that you always put an audit on these files, on these records, because you might be asked by the management. Okay. Now, the expense team must be able to edit all expense reports and line items. Okay, and all of these now, it's because we are start talking about permissions that we are gonna give. Okay, the expense team must be able to edit all expense reports and line items. All users can create expense reports, but should not be able to access anyone's else expense reports. So all of the users of the organization. So when you start creating the screens, who has access to these screens? Everyone will have an access to your application. everyone on the organization. So you don't have to pick. You don't have to say, oh, only system managers and service providers and or service managers or whatever it is. Not just everyone will have access to this. Managers needs to be able to access their subordinates' expense reports, which is through the roles. So I think the last part of it is a part more to do with the security, okay, and the approval is to do with process automation or flow. Flow also can do approval through flow, okay. So first of all, we'll be back to this transportation. When we talk about transportation types, these types of transportation can be record type. So you could have like airline, taxi, or rental. And when you have airline, you could pick this. Taxi, you pick this. Rental, you pick this. So these could be type. Okay, is there any other type? No. So this could be type. Maybe meal type could be a type, a record type. Because when you talk about record type, you are not actually talking about changing the set of objects you are dealing with. So you don't change the set of fields you are dealing with. You are just changing like how you consider what values to put in the screen, but you're not changing. You're not like allowing some fields to be filled, other fields not to be filled. That's not the purpose of it for record type. That's why we could have like record type here: airline, taxi, rental car. We could have a one which is breakfast, lunch, dinner. Okay, and is there anything else? Here you might have like types here like hotel, Airbnb, other things, but we're not asked to do types in here, so we're not gonna do that. Now, when you go into vendor in here, maybe the vendor is going to be an account on Salesforce accounts. So your accommodation will have a lookup value into account. So if you go back into sketching in here, we might need to have like the accounts object, okay, with a lookup value here. So I say like this is the accounts object, okay, accounts object, okay, and this one is going to be connected to the accounts object. Sorry,
Sam.
Yes, ma'am.
Just one thing. Do you mean to say vendor means like all the hotels will be the vendor, accommodation will be a vendor to the business?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what's meant by vendor. It's like who's the one you are. I'm repeating myself. Yeah, who's the one that you are working with, like in order to, who's the vendor? Who's the company that's providing this?
Accommodation.
So vendor is
Providing
the
accommodation.
Sorry. Yeah,
Sorry.
I mean, is it Hilton? Is it another three?
Marriott. Yeah, they all will be the vendors to the.
Yeah. But you need to have them as accounts on the organize. Well, not you need. I'm sorry for that. You can do it differently. You can have another object for vendors, but you already have an object that you can use, which is the account.
Yeah.
Okay. So that users can create an account that is.
Maybe can we add a record vendor? They say vendor type, right? Can we add it?
You can have it free text. You can have free text. You can have free text, but think of it. If let's say you have the vendor, the hotel, for example, you've been there. Do you want to keep like his telephone number, his email address, his website? Do you want to send them a thank you letter? Do you want to, while you've lost something, you forgot something, some important documents as at the hotel, you want to contact them? You want to make, like, let's say, a comment on about this vendor so nobody else in the organization use them again. So do you want to manage all of this? Do you want to create a record to do that? Or you could just use accounts, and if you have a comment, you put it in accounts. If you have a task for, let's say, calling them, you want to ask your admin to call them and check about the documents that you forgot there, or your wedding ring, or anything as such. You just create a task, assign it to the. You don't have to do this on you don't have to create all of this. It's already there for you on accounts that you can use it. So just better go and use it.
Okay.
But you can go very easy, very simple. Just put the vendor's name. You can do that. But how? It's up to you. How do you want to think about it? Are you thinking about the future of your application, where you want your application to be used as well for, let's say, marketing? Maybe what you could have also in the future, like you go on the vendor and you check how much money you've spent on that vendor, and then you go to him, and you've got a marketing team, and the marketing team wants to do some work. They go there, they check how much they've spent with them, or how many times they've been there if they don't have access to the money. And then they contact them. Well, listen, we are always using your services. We want a special discount from you. And then the people working on there just write a note to the accounts to call them. And so you could have a lot of things happen if you have it centralized in the accounts. Now, you might need to say, like, to create them as a service vendor, which is fine. You do already have on the organization a service vendor, so you just create them as a service vendor. Okay. You might need to add another field in there, say, like, for accommodation. Okay, used for accommodation. Okay, and then you could add another one later on, used for accommodation, used also for seminars or for anything as such. So you could play with it the way you want. You have an object. It's a very rich object. That's a standard object. You just add a couple of custom fields on it, and you could utilize it to the maximum. So I would do it this way. I could do it differently. It's up to you, but that's how much you get, like, you gain out of using the standard objects rather than creating your own objects.
Sam, could you also do those transportation types as a pick list rather than different objects, different record types?
Yeah. I mean, this would be easy. Here, you type of transportation pick list, meal type pick list. Okay, you could have them. It's up to you. I mean, that's nothing stopping you from using it here or there. It might be pick list. You might find pick list is better than record types. I mean, once you start into the details of things, you need to start again. As I said, you need to think of your reports, your dashboards. You need to think about the approvals. You need to think about how you're going to use this data, and that's why you pick your field types based on what's best that suits the need and the future need and the expansion of your project.
Yeah, cool. Thanks.
Okay. I don't know. We've already passed the time. I don't know if there's anyone who has any questions, or there's something that you would like to talk about, or something to add, some ideas. Anyone, guys? Anyone has anything to add? Let me just go. Simra, are you still with us?
Yeah. I think I'm good now. I just implement the ideas.
I mean,
I got the same idea.
We are not putting you in a certain direction, Silva. It's just, we are just explaining what's in there.
Yeah.
And it's up to you how to decide with your group what you want to do, how you want to do it. Now, one last thing I would add, I would suggest that you guys create a sandbox and work on it. So everyone creates a sandbox and work on it. Now, do you know how to create a sandbox?
I think, is there an option to create a sandbox in the Salesforce?
We have already
Yeah,
done
go
it,
to setup. You
Sam.
just go to setup sandbox. It's self-explanatory. Now, what I will do today, I'm going to send to the group in here, whoever came in here, and probably I'll post it on general, is like, what are the modules that you need to review in order to do what we are talking about today? Okay, so there are certain modules on Trailhead. I will look up what are the modules on Trailhead that you need to review. If you haven't done those modules, probably you need to go and do it, because I mean, these would be the prerequisite, not modules, the prerequisite knowledge for you to do the project. Okay.
Yeah.
So
on Thursday, they gave one link for the Battle Station app building module, I believe, which I'm doing currently. So I believe that will give a good refresh for all the modules which you had gone through before. Does that make sense?
Yeah, the more you do modules, of course, the more you do modules, the better it is. But now you have 2 days for the project, which is Monday and Tuesday. Now, do you have the time to do all of the app builder modules? Or you want to get, it's up to you at the end. What I'm going to do, if you are able to do the app builder, if you are able to do the app customization super badge, okay, that would make this easy, even easier. Okay, now you need to build up on the knowledge, one on top of the other. This is a very simple, easy to do, nice, cute, fluffy, name it whatever you want. It's a nice application that everyone can do. Now,
can I ask you?
I bet if you go even on an app exchange, you will find free applications related to business expenses that's in there that you can have a look at. So, but before you look at it, create a sandbox and then go to App Exchange, look for business. I haven't looked at, but I do remember a long time ago that when I wanted to do something like this, I found something, maybe even Salesforce has done something like that. So you could go and look at how these are designed. So you could just install it, install the app, look at the screens, look at the different objects in there, how they distribute them. You might not, I don't think you will find exactly the same thing, okay? But you would at least take an idea of what it is. Now, things you can utilize, think of the files. You can attach files like receipts, all of this. You can do it through the process. You can start having like more fun with adding more things to it. Okay, is that answer your question, Silva?
Yeah. And one more thing, since you have done the super badge, so what do you feel if we have done the super badge before this project, it would have helped a lot in terms of understanding the project or hands-on?
Yes, but frankly speaking, I think if you do this project and go back to the super badge, it makes the super badge easier. Because the app customization super badge is not as easy as the process automation. Process automation was very easy, okay? The app builder app customization is not as easy as the this. Now, one word on these super badges is that it's a language you need to understand. So I don't know if you, Claire, have done any super badge before, but the language the super badge is written in, that's what you need to understand how the hints they've mentioned, so that how they give you the names of the objects that they want to use. They'll give you lots of hints in there. You need to be careful, like when you do each and every one later. So yeah, I mean, yes, we don't have time. Exactly, we don't have time for the for a lot of things. Okay, but definitely we do have 2, 3 hours, 4 hours for important modules to be done. The super badge is going to take time. Trust me.
Okay.
It's going to take time. Okay, so, and it's going to confuse you maybe even more, because you will end up trying to solve the super badge rather than learning something. But
Okay.
if you do the required modules, okay,
Mhm.
and I will try to get them before 1:30. I have another meeting. If you do the modules, you go do the
Mhm.
application here, you do the reports, you do everything. When you go to the super badge, you know what you're talking about. You know what's the business of Salesforce. You know how to do an application. So solving a super badge would be much easier.
Understandable on the terms and project, I mean, business scenarios, right?
Does that answer your questions, Silva?
Yes, well, pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Now, back to you, Samra. Hi, Samra. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here. I have been following you. I'm fine. I
That's all
should be
right.
fine.
Okay, so
Yes, thank you.
Samra, question. You've said that you haven't been there yesterday,
Yeah,
and I know you haven't been like very much in control of your modules and exercises for some time, which is like mostly like 80% of the probably people are not doing, like are trying just to catch up.
yeah.
It's that. Is there anything we can support you with? Are you first of all, are you okay with the project today?
Like I really understood, like, because I haven't had time, like I didn't see the project details, but like things have been more clarified when you're talking about like the steps, or like, where you can like add, like, let's say like whether you should use account or like records, this and that. I think things are more clear for me now. Yeah, but I'm having hard time, like, because I haven't followed many things in class and also like on Trailhead. So,
Okay.
but I should
Now,
yeah. But it's good to know that, like, because I was thinking maybe I should go to Trailhead and do those things. But because you said that it will be, like, I was also thinking that, like, getting more familiar with the exercises, like for Salesforce, with Salesforce, I thought that would be easier for me to go to Trailhead than like to work on
and
Trailhead.
I think the reason this was very smart idea is that to put the project before, and I think that's the reason they want to prepare you for the super badge in the right way, and I think this is the right way of being prepared for the getting into the super badge. But if you need anything, all right, don't waste. I mean, you use anyone that's available. I'm here. Anyone
Thank you so much.
like it's there who can help you out.
And
All
my
right.
buddy Selva is here. She's my
So
buddy.
just do it. Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Do you have any questions about this Simra today?
Oh, no, I'm good. Thank you. Thank you.
No worries. Claire, do you have any questions?
All good.
No, it's a good idea to make the sandbox, though. It's a good one. Didn't think of doing that.
Yeah.
Does that mean that you have to repeat it in the actual org, or you can just sort of transfer it from the sandbox to the org?
Yeah. Well, in general, what you are required at the end, you are going to present this and you are going to show the application. Whether you show it on the sandbox, on the production, it doesn't matter. You want to show the application. So don't worry about that, because the whole deployment and moving from sandbox into production is going to come later. So at this moment,
Okay.
even if you do it on sandbox and present it, that should be fine. It's just a Salesforce organization that you are Salesforce organization you're using. That should be fine. So don't worry about the moving, because they said yesterday they're going to talk about the deployment, the whole deployment later on. So we'll leave it at this stage. Not worry about it. We'll just do it and move on. And I think everyone in his group needs to do this. And then once you get stuck, ask others. And then when you are finished, have a meeting, look up like what everyone has done, what's the best to present, put them all together, put all of the ideas together, because the more you do it, the more you repeat doing it's not waste. It's very important. If you do the object once, twice, 3 times, it doesn't matter. I mean, That's what we are here for. It's just we are here to learn and gain the experience. And this is an actual experience. This is an app, an actual app. You can actually go do it and then even like start making it bigger and better and sell it. So nothing stopping you from doing that, you know? So yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
No worries. Manny, do you have any questions today? Yeah,
No.
right. Yeah, wouldn't you?
Um,
You have any questions today?
No, I don't have any.
Okay, cool. Anna, do you have any questions, Anna?
No, I'll follow you. As you said, I will follow you. I will do the modules in the supervisors. Before that, I did everything because, but I didn't get just following the steps and copy paste only. I didn't concentrate
No, we
properly.
don't want to copy paste anything. We need to think about it and do it. All right. Does anyone mind if we share this video with others?
No.
Sorry.
Is there anything you want me to remove from the video, or you're okay with the way it is?
Yes, all good.
Okay. All right, good. All right. Thank you so much for
Thank you,
joining
sir.
me
Yeah.
today.
Yeah, actually, morning we had a discussion with our team 9 to 10. Immediately after that, I just saw your message. Thank you for your invite. So after we had a lot of confusions, we have come to some conclusions of user interface and programming interface discussion. So with the having double time discussing about the project, gives me more clear about now
So
where to go and how to work on it.
does this made things clear for you? You got.
Yep. Yeah.
I'm happy that was of help. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, and
Yeah, thank
enjoy
you.
the rest of the day. I'm going to
Thank you,
send
Sam.
in like an hour time. I'm going to send to Simra, Zilfa. I'm gonna send you on what they call on Slack. I'm gonna send you the
Yeah.
modules, or I'm gonna put it on general. So just
Thank
watch
you, Sam.
general.
Yeah,
I'm gonna put-
sure. Yeah.
Okay. So you don't mind if we share this video on general as well, huh?
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Take care. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Sam,
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Sam,
Good day.
when can we have the discussion? Which whose org do we going to do and those things
Oh yeah.
with regards to our group? So
Yeah. With regards to our group, everyone is going